Welcome to Center of Light. Good to see you tonight. Back in the chair. Thanks everyone. Things are coming along. My computer's been down for a while. I got some other things I'm waiting on. But I want to start out by saying thank you to those who have contributed your heart space to Center of Light. Thank you very much. Very, very much. So tonight is a test run. Real presentation, but test run on the gear. Tonight is Center of Light Withdraw into the cave of Samadhi, into the fire. I've done quite a few presentations with this theme, this title. However, tonight is not just talking about it. We're going to dive in deep. What's up, Machi? My brother Lewis, good to see you. Everyone can hear the music against the voice, okay? Yeah? Someone give me a yes. Let me do a couple of things. I've been out of habit. My muscle memory is not what it used to be. How do I, there we go, refresh. And the chat should come up there. Wow. There we go, one chat. KK says yes. Thank you, Dr. KK. Center of Light Foundation. Universal Church service will be coming soon. Stay tuned for that deal. I'm out of shape. I'm out of habit with all of this dancing around. So give me just a little bit to kind of fall into my own. Tonight is Center of Light Withdraw. Funny, KK. Tonight is Center of Light Withdraw. Moving out of the world for a while. Not because you're running away, because you're running to. Where are we running? Into the cave of Samadhi. What is Samadhi? Well, it's you working in your garden. And you're so lost working in your garden, time simply flees from you. You're in meditation, you're in prayer, you're in communion with God. Your heart, you love gardening. You're a musician, you love being on stage, you're in that zone. Or whatever it is you're doing. In this way, we're speaking about, which it is all spirituality, but in this way, it's about stopping the world. Monks, ascetics, yogis, they go into caves and they ain't coming out ever. When you want something so badly, so goodly, so greatly, it opens up a door. Big door. Small space, big space. I am thinking of doing, actually I am going to do it really soon. I am going to withdraw. I live my life in this room anyway, but withdraw. I'm going into Samadhi. I'm going to bring up some life lessons and I'm really going to move through them. The first part of Samadhi would be to want and to move into the cave of yourself. Scary stuff, I know, because there are lots of demons in there. Well, the demons are not going to right themselves. We have to go in there and simply clear them out. Pull them out by the root. So part one would be willing, wanting, choosing to go inside and face the devil. Whose devil? Yours. Mine. We have our own individual boogeymen. So we got to boogie within to get our cosmic dance on. Part one is willing. When you step into the cave over the threshold, it can be a little funky. I know. Doing a couple of checks. Everything just completely deleted itself. There we go. Part two is what do you do when you get in there? When you get in there, what do you do when you get in there? You sit and you notice, hello, Kelly, and you become aware. Aware of what? It'll announce itself, trust me. And as you sit some more, and then you sit some more. And literally, sit, not lie. The truth is sit. Just sit. Don't lay down. Sit. And be with yourself. Opened eyes, closed eyes. Open eyes, closed eyes. And things will begin to move. Just like they do when you lay down at night and you try to go to sleep. And all those things come in. All right. Hello, Soma Fusion on YouTube. And all the demons want to announce themselves and say, hi. Well, you sit and you watch, and you sit some more and you watch. Now, in part 2, doing something about it, you're going to find yourself wanting to do something about it. Those thoughts that move in. And I require that you don't do anything about it until you know it's time to engage. Then you do something about it. You sit, you sit, you sit. You find a pattern, you go inside of it, you balance it out. But also, trust me, even in your watching, some of those thoughts will grab you and pull you into the experience. And simply what you do is you step back and let go and watch it from afar as well. Part 3 is when you find yourself moving across the threshold after you just shattered with your spiritual dynamite this illusion you have been playing with yourself. You get up and you celebrate. You manifest the energy. You anchor the energy. So is there a part 4? It goes back to number 1. Start all over again. Go back inside. Be willing to do nothing, and you will be doing everything. When you find yourself in a situation, play with it. Get on the roller coaster, ride it. See what it wants. Follow the question back to the source, which is the only place answers come from. Don't expect an answer. That will hasten its arrival. Don't expect an answer, just ask the question. And wait however long it takes. How long is that? It doesn't matter. However long it takes. All those traumatic things that happen as a child, to clear it, you have to get near it. And you look at it, honestly. Look at what it means to you, or at least what you think it means. Pull back and look at it and see that it has no meaning except lesson that transpired in the past and brought you to this moment. If you can get it done that way, you're done with it. Relish this experience. Embellish your experience. Stand up, dance, repeat the process. I have issues with abandonment. Great. Go inside and let your teacher, abandonment, show you the light at the end of the tunnel. Everyone, again, thank you for your contributions to Center of Light. We still have some more things I need to iron out, but this is the first step after a painful month. If you want to donate, there you have it. If you want to share it, thank you. And if you want to bless it, equally as thank you. Tonight is Center of Light Withdrawal, stepping out of the world. It's loud. Stepping out of the world, it's loud. Sitting in a chair on the sofa and plant yourself. No TV, no music, just you and the quiet. And the quiet will suddenly, after a little bit of time, become very loud. Then you will get used to it. It'll dull as you do the work. You bring up the abandonment, you bring up the trauma, you bring up the body part, how you look, whatever your dilemma is, and you look at it. Dedicate yourself for 2 weeks. I understand you may have a job. When you get home, Samadhi. Samadhi. You can reach Samadhi like the unfolding of a flower in 24 hours. You mean full enlightenment? It can happen to any one of us at any time. But Samadhi in this way, meaning through my unity, my intentions for unity with Creator, I've opened up a doorway, and I've expanded into it. And once we get this kind of walk, this kind of gait, this kind of groove towards our non-goal, which is to be here, you become ever more present. I am going into the cave of Samadhi. I am going to withdraw. I'm not going to speak unless I absolutely have to. These kinds of things. So, since tonight is Center of Light Samadhi, for those who have been following me for a while, you know that I've been working on an album in and out called Samadhi, Into the Fire. I'm going to be playing some songs off of this album during the song breaks, like we have now. Stick around, Center of Light, diving into the fire. Are you willing to go through hell to get to heaven? That's the ultimate question. It's the only question. Don't expect an answer. Just get your beat and your feet are walking. From Samadhi, this song is modeled after what happened many, many years ago. Hello, Kelly Schwauer-Kasten. Let's see if we're friends. Kelly, I just friended you. Please accept. So we're going to do a song off of my album, soon-to-be album, Samadhi, Into the Fire. Hello, Robert. All those years ago, when I fell into a dark night of the soul, it hurt. I was in a state of Samadhi for a while, moving into the ever unending darkness, so it seemed back then. And now it's became my greatest torch, pointing the way into the cave of Samadhi. Do the work. Dark Night of the Soul, first cut.
Show me the light of truth. Grant me eternal youth. And what do you need as proof? I'm taking the time to find what is real. I go deep within and I feel how I feel. I fall for you, please show me the deal. It's been way too long, way too long, way too long. It's been way too long, way too long, way too long. Now show me how it can be. Show me what's reality. Give me what I need to see. And give me what I need to be.
Welcome back to Center of Light. Y'all, good to see you tonight. Tonight is Center of Light Withdraw. To the cave of Samadhi. Being still as possible. And then not working to become more stiller. Going inside of yourself and finding the demons deliberately, and you love them and you appreciate them and you forgive them and yourself, which is one and the same. Samadhi. You come to a place in your life, a time in your life that you're willing to get out of time itself and to create a space for yourself, a graceful ambiance, if you will, a spiritual decor from within to without. Create an altar in your house. It will alter you. Put all your favorite things on it. Your grandmother's picture, your picture of your favorite deity, a picture of your children, something beautiful someone gave you, something beautiful someone gave you. And you put these things because they have power. They mean all that is goodness to you. And you sit in front of your altar and you sit. And you sit, and you sit. And like clouds moving through your consciousness, they will show up. Write them down if you need to. See which one is the most dominant tone. It's the root. You can always snip the tree at its branches. Eventually you'll cut the whole tree. Or if you could find the umbrella issue, you cut it down at its trunk, at the ground level, it's all over. If you have to take small snips, small bites, if you will, at a time, to do so. But do so. You go inside, bring paper and pencil, write down what you feel. Your spirit will tell you what to write down, because it'll tell you and want you to recognize this after your Samadhi session for that day has been complete. And you take them in order of popularity. Be willing. I also suggest you take all your clothes off. It has a very, very deep spiritual significance. How did you feel when I offered that in the first place just now? Did you feel a little squirmy about it? That's a tell. It's another aspect, imagination, if you will, possibility, intention of peeling away the layers that choke the heart, the layers that keep you apart from your conscious, already illumined, sexy human self. Samadhi. Withdraw, center of light, withdraw, cave of Samadhi into the fire. Into the fire. It's going to feel like fire. Hellfire. Until you illuminate it into divine conscious fire. It all changes. I'm going back into the cave really soon. I'm going to unplug for a while. Not necessarily here. This helps me to fall in. But on other times of mine, I am going to withdraw completely. Let's talk a little bit more about what Samadhi is. This process of what we refer to as Samadhi, it can flower like that in one day. I would say if you completely disentangled from everything outside of you, in 24 hours, you will be in a state of Samadhi. That's all it takes. Most people never get to do anything totally. Neither the laughter of theirs or the tears that completes, nor anything in life that completes them. Everything is done and held back. See, the most dominant aspect for most human beings today is security. Most of them are going after profession because that means security. They are setting up family mainly because that is another kind of security, emotional. Another kind of emotional security. They're running after God, also looking for security. Their whole life energies are focused towards only their survival, nothing else. When you're too security conscious, you cannot live with abandon. In everything you are held back. So when you laugh, it doesn't go deep enough. Or does it go deep enough in you when you cry? It mainly stops because you are identifying yourself in all the wrong places. You get identified in little things of which you are not, and you're always living in fear that you may lose it. Only when your intelligence is unentangled with the situations in which you live that something bigger can happen to you. It is only then that something bigger can happen within you. I would say if you're completely disentangled from everything outside of you, in 24 hours you will be in a state of Samadhi. Again, that is all it takes. Just in 24 hours time, one can attain. It doesn't take that long. I'm just trying to make it practical for you. So this process that we refer to as Samadhi, it can flower just like that in one day. You simply sit. Don't do anything else. This is what Samadhi is about. That you don't use your brilliance. Don't use your brilliance. You don't want to use your mind. You may have a brilliant mind. Do not use your brilliance, because your brilliance is purely intellectual. Intellectual is not going to work in the cave of Samadhi. Samadhi and intellectual, no. You must put it away. Samadhi is a state of equanimity where the intelligence goes beyond its normal function of discrimination. This is why in the past when I talked about the cave of Samadhi, wanting to unify with Creator, take your shoes off. You're not going to need them anyway. You're walking on sacred ground. You might as well leave your religion and all your beliefs at the cave entrance as well, because no matter what you bring in, when you stand in the presence of the Absolute, all of it gets completely shattered into oblivion, as if it never existed, ever. Yes, even your religion, even your deity. You see, because religion and deities, these are vehicles so that we can lift in exaltation to the level that we no longer need the deity, which they have said themselves, don't worship me, just follow my path. The religion and the deity itself. So why not leave that at the gate at the beginning, so it hastens the arrival of going absolutely nowhere except further within ourselves. Samadhi. Wanting something so greatly that you're willing to give it up completely. Well, that sounds easy. Go ahead and try it. Because the monkey always wants to talk. I can give it up. I gave it up. You see? I did it just like that. Dig deeper. And what happens in the realization, oh my God, I've truly given it up. In that realization is the gift. You're no longer waiting on the something. Oh, now I'm going to get it because I've given up. You still haven't given up. But if you come to a state of realization and reflection, I'm really good. I'm really solid. I'm really good. That is the gift we have all been waiting for. It arrives out of nowhere. I'm going to introduce you to a spiritual teacher I've been following for a while, who I absolutely love, by the name of Shunyamurti. I have to bury his voice in music so I don't get a copyright panking on my spiritual backside. I'm not trying to steal anyone's art. I'm trying to share it to help illumine myself. Shunyamurti.
It's a great joy to be with you again in this first satsang of 2011. This is a satsang, you know. Which means a very deep interconnectivity among all of us in the name of truth and in the reality of the truth of our being. And it's a very important year that has begun. I think it's a year that's going to force everyone out of denial. It's already begun with global floods, freezing in the northern hemisphere, and various other mysteries, bird deaths in many places, massive, mysterious deaths of flocks, and other signs and wonders. And these will augment, they will increase, they will accelerate, all of these phenomena of this time period. We must be ready for them. And the only way we can be ready for these phenomena, which represent only one side of what I would call a transplosion. There's an implosion and an explosion happening simultaneously, as well as an interplosion from other dimensions. There are explosions into this plane of reality or unreality. And there are intraplosions within the soul of each being. And all of these interdimensional and extra-dimensional phenomena will be revealed as time goes on, especially to those who are awakened. And in order to be prepared for these and to be adequate in our ability to respond to these events, which have to do with our own personal lives, since we are all interconnected, we have to become stabilized in the reality of our true being. the reality of the being that is transcendent of the duality of life and death. Because only then can we face reality fearlessly and with clarity and lucidity and accuracy in order to know how to move ahead in this cinematic wonder that we call reality that is reaching an extraordinary climax. And so it's important to understand how to meditate, how to shut off the static in the mind to reach the true signal that's coming from that supreme reality that's trying to guide us, but that we don't generally pay attention to because we've been indoctrinated that it doesn't exist and we shouldn't pay attention to it. It's only our imagination, and we should only pay attention to what we can establish by the scientific method, etc., etc. But now it turns out that the scientific method is actually a mythod. It's all been a myth all along, as science itself has proven that the world is not made of matter at all. Or at least it's down to about 4% of the universe according to the latest cosmological distribution of forces. When you add in dark matter, dark energy, antimatter, all of these things, what is matter? It's almost nothing. In fact, it is nothing since matter is convertible from particle to wave. A wave is a non-localized and non-material phenomenon. And the only reason why we think of this as a material world is because the world is repulsive. By that I mean that when the transform from wave to particle happens, the particles develop this repulsive force. It repels. Okay? When I touch this table, I'm not actually touching the table. I'm touching a force field that repels the force field around the hand. None of you are actually sitting right now. You are levitating because you're not actually in touch with the matter of the chair or the zafu or whatever you're sitting on. You're levitating above it. Granted, it's a very tiny level of levitation, but it's there. You're not touching anything material. And it's very important that we recognize that, and that atoms themselves, they are 99.99999% empty space. And even what isn't empty space is only made up of waves of what are being recognized as consciousness. And so in order to understand the reality we're in, we have to shift our paradigm. But to shift that paradigm in a way that recognizes the more subtle realities, that means that our capacity to perceive subtle realities must be increased. It can't just be an intellectual change, because that won't do it in a time of crisis. And it's not a matter of memorizing equations or metaphysical belief systems. It's a matter of what is truly real to you in the moment. And nothing else will be sufficient to enable you to respond to the challenges that will be present. And so we have to learn to make that shift into a higher dimension of consciousness. And the traditional yogic way of doing that, which is the earliest scientific method, true method of conscious transformation, is through an internalization, a turning around of our conscious energies. And in the meditative state, we do this in a 7-stage process that will lead to samadhi, or the immersion in this higher quantum field of consciousness that can achieve mastery over this phenomenal unreality. So the first stage is that of pacification. If you want to meditate, you have to pacify your body. You have to make it calm enough and free enough of agitation that you can let go of your concern for the body. But if the anxiety level is too high, the body will produce symptoms that keep you from meditating. You'll either get all itchy and antsy, or you'll start coughing, or you will do other things that cause you to have to get up and leave the room. But the ego sensor is very clever and produces all kinds of distractions that will justify deciding not to meditate anymore, because it creates anxiety. So we have to pacify the body enough that we can then go to the second stage, which is pranification. The body is not basically physical, that's the illusion. The second level, the more subtle level, is that of prana, which we could call bioelectromagnetic energies that are flowing through the body. And we need to become aware of the prana and get it to flow. And that's what will start to make our consciousness more subtle. And the pranification will then lead to the third stage, which is a pyramidization. The prana will begin to pyramid upward. The kundalini Shakti energy, which is even more subtle than the prana, will begin to rise. You know the word pyramid, it comes from the word pyre and mid. It is the central fire. Pyre, like pyromaniac or funeral pyre, right? It is the central flame within our body-mind consciousness. And so the energy has to rise to that central flame, which is the third eye, which leads to the third phase of, or fourth phase. Which phase are we at? Pacification, pranification, pyramidization, the fourth phase of pinealization. The activation of the pineal gland. And this sets in motion a whole cascade of electromagnetic effects, neuroelectrical and neurochemical effects that cascade through the endocrine system and through the higher command centers of the brain, the prefrontal lobes and the motor complex in chakra 7. All of this gets activated to make our awareness even more subtle, and you become aware of the inner light. Which then leads to the next one. What are we on, number 5? Which I have called pontification. But it's not like pontification in the ordinary sense of being a blowhard. But there is that aspect of being able to download from the source information that can be turned into symbolic form, whether in language or images or mathematics or music, whatever is needed for a particular kind of communication. But that source, we could also call it puenteification. You know, the word pontiff from the Pope is a bridge to God, right? So it is that bridging. We could also say it's a pointification, because your consciousness reached one pointedness, and that point is able to go beyond or through the space-time continuum into the noumenal plane. It can cross the diaphanon and create a bridge. So you could also call it penetration. But this bridging enables then the entire body-mind to reach the next phase, which is the permeation of body-mind with the higher energies, the supernal energies. They are transcendent. We're no longer dealing with the energies of wave particle. And then finally, when that has been fully achieved, there is the pleromatization, the fullness that comes from realizing that you are that source. That is interconnected and that is omnicentric. So in other words, whoever you look at, you realize is yourself. There are no others anymore. You're no longer in the field of duality or multiplicity, but in a realization of the oneness of all that is. And this interconnectivity changes then the way that the phenomenal plane functions. The destiny of karma itself can be altered through that recognition, because the recognition is the energy of love. And that love actually counters the repulsive force of matter and shifts it back into that attractiveness of the beauty of the radiant energy that we all are. And we can actually change the nature of the events that transpire in the phenomenal plane. Okay, so all of this is theory, and now we need to actually experience it as a reality. In the old days, in the ancient world, this information was well known to almost everybody, and that's why it wasn't difficult to get to the higher levels. And people had faith in this kind of information. The desert fathers and mothers, for example, who went out, left society in the 2nd century AD, 3rd century, 4th century, they did that because they knew this was true, and they needed to be able to go to a place free of distractions in order to download all of this and achieve that higher knowledge. And so it was a process of faith that led to love, that led to the supreme knowledge. And here knowledge is understood as union, as the realization that you are God, not just a connection, but the non-dual realization of God consciousness that is all of us. But now we don't have that any longer. We have been taught to be cynical about all of that. And so we have to gradually gain that knowledge through experiential efforts of silencing the mind. But the more that your capacity to concentrate develops, the more you will find that the energy field inside the mind does begin to glow, and it does begin to release a kind of energy that is non-ordinary. If you'll stay with that, it will continue to augment, and the field will lead to the pinealization and to the permeation and all of these higher stages automatically. So you don't have to keep thinking about this agenda. This is just something that will naturally flow. But the main thing is to keep the externalizing mind from distracting you from the source of your own consciousness. That's all you have to do. Okay, it's all very simple. And the fact that we are all interconnected enables us as a group to get to a much higher stage of this meditative process than we would alone. And so this group energy field is a gift that we're offering to each other, and as one rises, all the ships are lifted by the same tide, you could say. All the souls will rise in congruence with the most coherent energy that is being transmitted in the field. Okay, so that's all that we need to do. And I'm sorry for giving such a long prologue to this, but I think that it may help to recognize that there is a logic and a methodology and a whole science of consciousness that's thousands of years old that has worked all of this out, and that is completely in correspondence with contemporary quantum mechanics. And
Welcome back to Center of Light. Tonight we have been speaking about Samadhi, going into the cave. Cave of yourself, the cave of your life. You know, doing spiritual work is phenomenal. Never stop. That's your choice. But do we ever stop enough to truly hunker in? Into the bunker, looking at the demons, getting out of the mind, watching the mind, appreciating the mind, but from afar. Learning the patterns of what is the most dominant vibrations that we have not been aware of until we sat and sat and sat. Then you begin to see the vibrational signatures that are having the most unconscious influence in your life. And you begin to pluck them out. And you do that not violently or aggressively, but lovingly. You appreciate the lesson that it has given you. And as Shunyamurti said, and in such a way, when these corridors, these partitions, but we must partition, when these partitions in the mind, one by one, become activated and illuminated because of the clear neural passageways now, everything begins to lighten up, ignite, and begins to fire off. The mind suddenly becomes usable as it was essentially, originally intended to be, which is a tool, instead of it making you a slave, or us rather, choosing to succumb to the master mind. Cave of Samadhi. Sit, however long it takes, to work through at least one issue. Try your biggest one. It'll speak the loudest. When you start to sit and get quiet, no TV, no phone, nothing, don't answer the door, no speaking, sit, not lie, sit. The most dominant one will say, hello, how you doing? So instead of resistance, because the mind will make you cough, it'll make you scratch, it'll make you rub your eye, it'll make your mouth taste metallic, it'll make all these things happen, which is called resistance, to get you out of trying to destroy it. Rather, illuminate it. It likes itself very much. It does not want to be monkeyed with, though it does not realize it itself is the monkey. Play with yourself. Work with yourself. Look at yourself on levels you never thought existed. How will I know they exist? By simply sitting with the intentions of Samadhi. Hello, Melinda. Sit. No distractions. Vow. Not only create an altar that will alter you, it'll create a graceful ambiance about you, because you are the one transforming, transmuting into this graceful ambiance. We have to broaden our sphere. Something I also want to suggest is, I understand boundaries. You got to set boundaries, right? No, you don't. Setting boundaries is not creating a boundary. It's attracting those you are trying to keep away from you to the boundaries wall. And they will find a way over the wall and around the wall. Why do you need boundaries? To protect yourself from what? An unconscious creation. So become conscious. The boundary is in the mind, and it's not real. Because in this regard, the mind is in fear as to why I'm setting boundaries, and fear, as we know, is not real. Learn, integrate, graduate, become conscious of the fact, the truth, the ultimate reality that you are the creator when you unify with Creator. And then you become invincible. Simply by you that's been altered, by your altar, you become the altar, you transmute yourself, you transform yourself. Boundaries are not necessary. Boundaries only creates a false illusion to bring those and those events into your experience, only to be sat at a wall until they figure a way around it. And they will. And so you create bigger boundaries. This is not Samadhi at all. This is the opposite direction. This is walking completely in the opposite direction with your shoes on and all of your beliefs in tow on your backpack. Everyone does it at their pace. But if you're such a one that wants to jump into the fire, center of light, withdraw from the world. I'm withdrawing from the world. Don't speak if you can. Turn off the TV. Don't answer the phone. Sit. Be. See. And sit. I'm removing myself from the world for a while. I want to go see exactly what I look like. You have to want it. I understand you have a life. I understand practicality. I understand debt, bills, earning a living. Samadhi is true living. It's life. Becoming conscious of it on every level. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, you can quit your job. You never saw that coming, did you? Let's do one more song. Tonight has been Center of Light Withdraw. The world, this is the perfect time. I don't mean run away from. I mean run into you. One more song from my upcoming new album, sometime in the future. Samadhi, the name of the album. I'll show you an image of it right here. That's the album cover, Samadhi, Into the Fire. Into the fire. Are you willing to go to hell to get to heaven? I am. Let's see what we're going to close with off of this upcoming new album. Infected with Love, or What Do You Want Now? Let's do Infected with Love. I'll see you in the backside of this song. Peace, love, and Samadhi. I can't seem to figure things out. Maybe everything I claim to know is absolute bullshit. Where else can I go but inward? Nothing in the outside has ever brought me some sort of peace. I once heard from a friend about something called Samadhi. If I remember correctly, he told me it's being in a space of stillness, an inner quiet, silence on all levels, sort of like being in a cave in meditation, waiting simply, however long it takes, for God to awaken you and bring you to the realm of all possibilities. Now tell me, did you ever think you can have what you want? 'Cause it sure is happening to me. Everything that I tell you, best believe it is true. And you too will soon see. Come on now, what do you want? Come on now, what do you want now? What do you want? What do you want now? Now tell me, will you look within? Welcome back to Center of Light. Good to see you tonight. Has been Center of Light. Withdraw. Get out of the world. It's noisy. It's fun, but it's noisy. What do you want now? Are you ready for your spiritual revelation? It's a perfect time. The world's given us a wonderful, noisy gift. So in contrast, it makes things a lot easier. We're able to hone in a lot easier who we really are by simply the noise of it. But we have to get out of that noise so we can fall into a space of quiet, samadhi, to hear our own internal noise. But more importantly, when we're listening for our own internal noise, this distraction is still going to be here because it can be, depending on who you are, a dominant tone. So you step out even further. You step out, you step out, you step out. Sit, 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 however long it takes. Move through one of your issues. Slay the dragon. Again, I want to say thank you to everyone for your support in Center of Light. I'm getting some computer parts in as to why I'm back on my PC now. Have others coming in. So if you're still able to support Center of Light fundraiser, thank you. We're getting there. I love you. I appreciate you. This is your platform as well. I'm always open to your suggestions, your input. Center of Light Foundation. Universal Church is coming soon. Sunday service. It's not going to be religious. It's not going to even be spiritual. It's going to be fun. That in and of itself we're going to do religiously. And that'll become the spirituality, the eventuality of the work that we do when we withdraw from the world and move into the cave of Samadhi, deeper into the fire. I love you.